right. What do you wish to say?
Miss Boyd, I can tell, even taking the glasses off, I'm nearsighted. Both of you and I have these little scars right here from our glasses. And I was just to you earlier. Without my glasses on, I can barely see you. 6 months ago, on August 26th, I reacted to what I felt had been 2 years of a nightmare. I have lived with my parents for 38 years, and they're the best things that have ever happened to me. I couldn't see the forest through the trees because what was happening to me had never happened before in my life. That day, I reacted in a horrible way towards my father because I lost my cool and I lost my power. The last 6 months of my life have been the best 6 months of my life because I've gotten in touch with myself and I've remembered a very important thing that no matter what I'm going through, and no matter what anyone is going through, how I choose to react to it is completely and totally up to me. And these days, I choose happiness. I cry a lot because it's been a long 6 months. And the last two or three of them, I haven't spoken to my family. Well, last six, I haven't talked to my dad. Last two or three, I haven't talked to my mom. And I've lived with them for the entire 38 years of my life. What happened to me didn't just happen to me, it happened to us. But my parents were never to blame. And I couldn't see that because of, lack of communication, being a 38-year-old and immature in some ports. But I'm glad to be before you today. And when I say that the last 6 months have been the best 6 months of my life, I don't intend or want to be back in jail. But it was time that I needed to listen to myself. It was time I needed to listen to God. It was time I needed to really reflect, not just on, the time in here, but the last 38 years of my life. And I'm happy standing before you and my parents today, knowing that God gave me a reason for existing. And it's to bring happiness to myself, my family, and anyone else that I encounter. And no matter what I'm going through in life, no matter how hard it is, I don't have to not be happy. And I surely don't have to take my unhappiness in a moment out on someone, especially not my dad.
Any questions? Anything
For the
else?
pensioner.
So here's my question. One, it appears that you're not going to be allowed to live with your parents. So why were you, as a 38-year-old, living with them in the first place?
Well, over a decade ago, I'll admit that I was a drug addict, and my parents were enablers. They loved me as much as a parent could love their child, and then some. And so they didn't want to kick me out on the street. They didn't want to, despite me stealing, thieving, and whatnot. That was not the case over the last 2 years. Over the last 2 years, I have done anything and everything I could to get a job. Actually, let me take that back. At the beginning of those 2 years, I was completely sober. In a 2 week span, I had gotten off of all pharmaceutical medications. I decided I no longer wanted to smoke cigarettes, which I had been doing since I was legally allowed to smoke cigarettes, and I no longer wanted to use drugs. And I kept that promise to myself for nearly a year. I was racially profiled and wrongly terminated from my job, fell off that horse, but I remained sober. I didn't smoke cigarettes, and I just decided to get back on that horse. Only I didn't get back on it. After a month of not having any work, I was fine. After 3 months of not having any work, not so much. After 6 months of not having any work, of having my parents' Wi-Fi hacked, my cell phone hacked, of having people whose identities I still don't know listen on my phone calls, things were getting testy.
So let me ask you.
Oh, what a heartwarming tale. 38 years old, living with mommy and daddy, blaming the universe, Wi-Fi hackers, and mysterious shadow people for why life fell apart. Clearly, personal responsibility is just a myth when you've been so deeply victimized by unemployment and phone taps. And thank goodness for the judge, the only adult in the room who had the patience to cut through the dramatic TED Talk and remind everyone that maybe, just maybe, it's time to grow up, stop romanticizing rock bottom, and stop acting like enlightenment struck during a jail cell retreat.
Do this.
Yes, ma'am.
Your prescribed medications, what were they for?
When I was 21, I was a full-blown heroin addict, and I was depressed because I was a full-blown heroin addict. I'd swallowed 1,300 milligram trazodones because I was tired of my life. I was hospitalized off of Floyd Curl for 7 days, and part of my discharge paperwork was to go see
Okay, here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
I need you to slow down because the court reporter has to take down
I
everything.
apologize. I was hospitalized up to the hospital of Floyd Curl, because Methodist. Part of my discharge paperwork was to see this man, his name was Dr. Moody, not making that up. He talked to me for 35 minutes and said that I had bipolar 2 disorder, prescribed me lithium and clonazepam, and I was 21, max 22. At the time, because I was raised to respect my elders and because I was in the hands of a doctor, I just kind of said, okay. I was never bipolar. I never had bipolar 1, never had bipolar 2, but for over a decade, I kept taking clonazepam. Lithium I got off within about 2 years. Um, but I never needed that medication. I never needed lithium. And it took my ex, well, who I was then with, to wake me up to the fact that I didn't need to be on that benzo.
And do you have any children?
No, ma'am, I wish I did.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
No further questions.
All right. So, is his father here?
Oh, no, I think you
All right, if we can have his father come up, please.
gonna step aside.
Yes. Both parties have agreed for your son to have probation.
Yes, ma'am.
And part of my job is to put in place conditions that will help him be rehabilitated and help him with whatever issues he may have.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't do cookie cutter probations. Everybody doesn't receive the same conditions. So what is it you think he needs? Is there some mental health issues going on here?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
When he's talking about being diagnosed with bipolar, he was diagnosed, that's true. And when he says his ex convinced him that he wasn't bipolar and he quit taking the medications, mom goes through mood swings.
Mhm.
And like I said, I'm not a physician, but the physician said he was bipolar.
Okay.
But a friend or his ex said he wasn't. So he decided to go with what the friend of the ex said.
Mhm.
And when I said mood swings, it's 1 minute he's happy and up and everything's great. The next minute, the world is crumbling. And then there's an anger part of that. Okay. And my wife and I have been dealing with that most of his adult life. He has a pleasant personality, but like I said, for me, on the 26th of August, Jamal beat me with a metal cane, like I was a piece of meat.
Mhm.
Okay. And broke into the house, did a whole bunch of negative stuff that you all have records for. I never understood why. Today, I don't understand why.
Mhm.
Okay, but some of the same things that he's saying to you as far as the ex convinces him not to take the medication and him not being on medication. And I'm not a doctor, but like when he was on the medication, it seemed like it was happening. Okay. He has had an issue with maintaining jobs. He told me and my wife that we had aliens in my backyard. The Masons was after him. My Wi-Fi had been hacked and all this other stuff. Now, I don't know if the Wi-Fi was hacked or not. It could be because it happens all the time. But as far as some of this other stuff, but there's a Masonic lodge down from my house.
Mhm.
He talked about going down there blowing up the lodge. And I'm like, come on, those folks aren't messing with you. Okay. But he had a couple of pictures on his phone where he felt that people were following him and this type of stuff. And to me, that was all the mental part. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying I'm correct, but he just made me feel that way.
So let me ask you, do you think it would help him? Because they do have placement in a mental facility
Mhm.
to make sure that he is on his medications, to make sure he has a case manager.
Mhm.
Do you think that's what he needs and that's what would help him?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. I get the picture now. And wow, if patience were a superpower, the judge might as well wear a cape. Listening to a grown adult wax poetic about how an ex-girlfriend diagnosed him better than a licensed psychiatrist, all while casually glossing over a full-blown assault with a metal cane, takes judicial restraint to a whole new level. The judge somehow kept it together, calmly offering structured help instead of slamming the gavel down and ordering a reality check. I mean, if courts gave out trophies for emotional endurance and not rolling their eyes through the madness, this judge would be a reigning champ.
I mean, when I talked to the DA's Mrs. Jones this morning, and she was talking about what could happen like, as far as 2 to 10 years of type of stuff, and I told her that if Jamal went to jail for 10 years, that's still not going to help him because he has mental issues, in my opinion. So my focus is, even though he assaulted me, is he's my son. I love him. I love him until I leave this earth. But he actually needs some help. Okay, and he doesn't understand that or doesn't see that. You can ask my wife; she's here, and we've been dealing with him for 30 years. And
So I will tell you what my plan is with
Yes, ma'am.
conditions
Mhm.
is to get him help for mental health issues. The question is whether or not you want to have phone contact, but because before he has in-person contact with you outside of court settings,
Mhm.
I like to start people off slow.
right,
So are you okay with him speaking to you just by phone or speaking to your wife by phone?
he talks to her now.
Okay,
Okay, so he hasn't talked to me since the 26th of August. And I don't have an issue with that, okay?
all right, so what I can tell you is I'll start off with the contact will only be by phone or either if you all want to do it by Zoom, but there'll be no in-person contact.
Mhm.
And once a doctor or therapist or probation says to me that it will be safe for him to have contact, in-person contact with his parents, and you all are okay with that, then I'll strongly consider his having in-person contact.
Okay,
All right.
that's fine.
All right. Is there anything else I need to know about your son?
Other than that, like I said, I don't know what made him do what he did. His whole adult life or his whole life, we've been trying to just be decent parents. And I got 4 kids.
Mhm.
And the only time I've been in a courtroom like this was with Jamal. Okay, several years ago, same thing. Okay, so and that's what I was telling the attorney. I don't know what will help him. I hope this did. I hope this is the last time that I have to come into a courtroom.
Well,
on a
I will
negative
tell you,
situation
in
with
my experience, a lot of mental health issues for males happen around the 18-year mark. For females, sometimes it's a little bit later. Sometimes it's mid-20s for females, but usually for males, the mental health issues, if they happen, usually around the 18-year mark.
That's right.
And when I say mental health issues, I don't mean mental health based upon traumatic things that happen. I mean the schizophrenia, the bipolar, that type of thing. All right, thank you so much.
Sure, thank you.
All right, this is what the court is going to do. There's a $1,500 fine that will be probated. The court will sentence you to 4 years deferred adjudication. If you complete everything early, the court will consider early termination. Is there anything else you need from the court to be successful?
No, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record. You have victim impact? Yes. All right, you may proceed.
Just Judge, sorry.
At this point, the judge deserves more than just a robe, maybe a gold medal in crisis management and a therapist's salary on the side. After calmly unpacking a family history thicker than a Netflix docuseries and navigating a parent's heartbreak mixed with metal cane beatdowns, the judge still managed to draft a solution centered on actual healing. Instead of saying, lock him up and throw away the key, like many would, they offered a path layered with mental health care, boundaries, and patience that most people wouldn't bother with.
Sorry, one other thing. There is a protective order that was ordered. It's in place for 2 years. So I know the whole contact thing. I just wanted to make sure the
All right,
court's aware.
so the court was unaware of that. Since there's a protective order in place, you need to follow that protective order.
Yes, ma'am.
So if your mother's included in that protective order, you cannot have contact with her at all. If that's what it says.
She's the go-between between me and my dad. But not that I need to talk to my dad, but it was, as far as I know, it was established that I could call and talk to her.
All right, you all need to make sure that that's the case because I don't want any violation.
Yes, ma'am.
So probation with regards to his condition, I'm sorry, with regards to his conditions, there's to be no contact with the complainant. Are 011671 State versus Jamal Ricardo Fisher. Can I have parties announced?
Ashley Jones for the state.
Megan Enriquez for Jamal Fisher.
And are you Mr. Fisher? To review the document entitled Motion to Enter Adjudication of Guilt and Revoke Community Supervision with your attorney, did you understand it? Are you the same Jamal Ricardo Fisher who was placed on deferred adjudication in 2024 CR 011671 for the offense of injury to a child, elderly, or disabled person with intentional bodily injury on January 27, 2025 for a period of 4 years? Is that you?
Yeah.
All right, state.
Yes, Your Honor, the state is going to proceed on violation of condition number 4. On or about the 28th day of February 2025 in Bexar County, Texas, the defendant, Jamal Ricardo Fisher, did then and there fail to conduct himself in a proper and orderly manner during an inmate video conference meeting with the Bexar County Community Supervision and Corrections Department Supervision Officer in violation of condition number 4.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
And the state will waive the remaining violation.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
Did you understand by pleading true to violation of condition number 4, the court could find it true, grant the motion, find you guilty, and sentence you up to 10 years in the prison and up to a $10,000 fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violation of condition number 4? Court will find violation of condition number 4 true. Is there proposed agreement?
There is not, Your Honor.
All right, state, what are you requesting?
Your Honor, at this time, the recommendation from probation is amend for DDRF. I do believe that the defendant has undergone a mental health and a TAP, substance abuse evaluation, both recommended DDRF, and at that time, that is the state's recommendation as well.
All right, thanks.
Yes, Your Honor, and that was the basis for his outburst with the probation officer. He does deny some of the things that he's alleged to have said, but he does ultimately agree that he did use profanity that was inappropriate. That's why he did decide to plead true. I believe what happened is that at the very beginning, when he pled for deferred, he was misinformed. He believed that he would be getting out. He says he signed for probation because he thought he would get out that day or the next day. But instead he was held in custody, explained that that's routine and normal and that happens all the time. And so he waited in custody for 3 different evaluations. I believe the TAP, the mental health evaluation, and what was the other evaluation? Oh, okay. Oh, a drug court evaluation. And so he waited in custody for those, and ultimately the mental health evaluation recommended DDRF. So when the probation officer came to meet with him, he says that the video wasn't on, he could hear him, and he was explaining to him that there were going to be new conditions, but he didn't have new conditions in front of him. He, in his mind, didn't feel that DDRF was appropriate for him. He says he doesn't have a drug problem, and since it's dual diagnosis, he doesn't believe his issue is drugs and that he's not a drug user, and that he was just trying to explain that to his probation officer, albeit with profanities, because he was upset that the probation officer explained to him that there was a long wait and that upset him. And so that was what got us here today, was that interaction with the probation officer. But leading up to that, he was further upset, and he wants to explain it to you in his words as well, but this is kind of a synopsis of what he's told me.
Well, let me explain something.
Sure.
You really have to hand it to the judge, sitting there with the patience of a monk while sorting through what sounds like a live-action mix of Dr. Phil, Breaking Bad, and Judge Judy. While everyone else is fumbling around with half-truths, mood swings, conspiracy theories, and protective orders they may or may not have read, the judge is still laser-focused on law, logic, and making sure no one crashes and burns harder than they already have. She's not out here handing out hugs and fairy dust. She's laying down reality like a sledgehammer and pearls. Honestly, if anyone deserves hazard pay and sainthood, it's her. For staying calm while grown adults treat court like an emotional talent show with bonus delusions and rage.
Sir, I go over conditions with people in great detail. I go over conditions of probation with people in great detail. And I always ask people if they understand what they're being ordered to do. And if they don't understand, I explain it to them. So what I can tell you, when I place you on probation, what I said was a $1,500 fine probated, 4 years deferred adjudication, regular reporting by Zoom or in person, regular random UAs, 100 hours of community service restitution. That was to be waived once he completed anger management, affirmative finding of family violence, no contact with the complainant, and Madam Circle, which was an address, referral to felony drug court for their dual diagnosis program, a mixed evaluation, and DDRF. That's what I ordered. And so what I said was, we're going to try felony drug court with their dual diagnosis because it doesn't take them as long as DDRF. But the court did order you to go to DDRF, or at least be evaluated for DDRF if felony drug court doesn't accept you. And the reason why I ordered that was based upon the evidence that was presented to the court on the day of sentencing, that there are some mental health issues. Now, if I send you out into the world and I do not give you help from your mental health issues, you know what's going to end up happening? You're going to end up back here and you're going to say, well, judge, your attorney will say, judge, he needed mental health treatment and you didn't even try to give it to them. That would be my fault. That's on me, right? But when I give you things that you need to be successful on probation, you have to sign for those. And let me explain to you. Everybody has a right to their feelings, to be angry, to be upset. But at the end of the day, guess what? Everybody's just trying to do their job and they're hoping that they will have a nice day at work. Some people, it's like, gosh, I was supposed to be retired, or I really didn't want to do this as my career. Now I got to suck it up and just continue to do it. And I really don't like it. It's not my passion. Some people, it's, I was only supposed to be here for 1 year, then I was going to trade school or going to college and do something else with my life. So everybody is just trying to have a pleasant day. And if everyone would treat everybody with kindness, it would really go a long way because everybody's just trying to do their job.
Amen.
So what I'm telling you is I have ordered DDRF. You're gonna have to sign for DDRF. If you don't want to sign for DDRF, then what I will do, I will revoke you and I will sentence you to 3 years in the prison. So you have two choices. And these are the only choices you have. Don't come to me with a third choice. Two choices, sign for DDRF or 3 years.
Can I just share? Ma'am, I never once had an issue with DDRF, and I know what you recommended. I never saw DDRF, as I was explaining to my lawyer. When my probation officer met with me on that Zoom call on the 28th, that was the first time I'd ever got actually a chance to meet him. I tried calling him, my mom and dad had tried calling him, my previous attorney tried calling him, just to say hi. I'd never even heard of you.
Let's give a standing ovation to the judge, the only adult in the room with a working memory, a functioning moral compass, and the patience of a saint dealing with people who apparently treat probation terms like TikTok terms of service, just scroll past and hope for the best. She laid everything out like a structured syllabus, and somehow the defendant still showed up shocked, like he missed a pop quiz. Meanwhile, she's reminding him that, no, this isn't a choose-your-own-adventure book. There are two options: sign and get help, or don't and get cozy with a prison jumpsuit. And the best part? She's not even mad. She's calmly reminding him that kindness matters, even if it's while she's professionally body-slamming his excuses.
You know what the appropriate response is?
Ma'am.
If somebody wants you to sign a contract, at least in this realm, in the 187, you need to say, well, I'm confused, sir, because I don't believe the judge ordered DDRF for me. I would like to go back to court. And then that would have been the end of it. Everybody would have been like, okay, and you would have came to court and you know what I would have done? I would have said, Mr. Fisher, I ordered first felony drug court because it's a short wait time. And then if not accepted by felony drug court, DDRF. And then that would have been done. I always tell people, don't get upset because things are not going your way. If you are confused about something in this court, you can always come back to the court and say, Judge, they want me to sign up for DDRF. It's my understanding I'm not supposed to sign up for DDRF.
Okay, ma'am, that my problem wasn't with the recommendation, and if he had said that, I would have been like, okay, well, this is my thing. You gave me, I thought it was a blessing, still think it's a blessing to be on probation.
Mhm.
I don't care, DDRF, whatever it is, if you're asking me that, you're the judge, so I'm not gonna say no. When the probation officer, all he said, his exact words, I was like, she wants to go to DDRF, and I didn't know if he meant, said she was talking you or someone from the evaluations. All I asked was, what's DDRF? And his exact words were, you're going to have to wait a minimum 6 to 8 months to get a bed, and then it's a 4-month course. That's when I lost my cool. Then even after that, he didn't say these are conditions of your probation or explain what DDRF was. I was never upset about the recommendation. I didn't even know DDRF was a thing. The only reason I reacted the way I did was he said, you're gonna have to wait 6 to 8 months for bed. And I didn't know what that was for. I'm not gonna say no.
So here's the thing. So if you want DDRF as opposed to the prison term, all right. So I'm gonna deny the motion, alter the main conditions for DDRF. Council, what I'll do is, Ms. Ferguson, I need a phantom date for a setting of 60 days. We'll come back in 60 days to see where he is in the process. Okay. All right, Ms. Ferguson, 60 days, phantom date. All right, so we'll be back in July 10th. July 10th, it's not going to appear in the system because if we have it in the system and they're ready to transfer to DDRF, they won't, and you'll lose your place.
Okay.
So it's just a phantom date, but everybody here knows July 10th.
Okay.
All right, probation, is there anything else he needs? All right,
Just to
thank
be
you.
clear, Judge, so that he's admonished here on the record. So today he will have to sign his new conditions agreeing to go to DDRF and he'll be placed on the wait list as of today.
Yes,
No,
no,
the wait list doesn't start today, Judge. You still have to go through an evaluation.
all right, so you still have to do a medical evaluation and everything of that nature, okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Honestly, this judge deserves a trophy for most patient human dealing with circular logic. She laid it out plain as day. If you're confused, come back to court. Don't throw a tantrum like you're being forced into a dungeon. Yet here's Mr. Confusion turning a standard probation update into a Shakespearean tragedy over something he admits he didn't even understand. The judge, meanwhile, is calmly explaining that DRF isn't some mystery box. It's court-ordered help, not a surprise vacation. She even gave him a phantom court date, because apparently real ones are too complicated, just so he doesn't lose his spot.